Yo guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bootios Boy Wrestling Fan interview. Today I'm with my special guest, Mark Adam Haggerty. I'm just kidding. Don Kincaid, everyone.
Mark Adam Haggerty? Are you shitting me, Bootio? Right off the ripper like that? Are you kidding me?
I had to. I'm sorry.
That's what we're talking about. You gotta have fun, my man. That is awesome. I love that intro.
So Kincaid, can you tell us a little more about yourself?
I'm a skinny little dude that weighs about 35 pounds that will never get into the wrestling ring. That's pretty much it.
I like the shirt that says my name on it.
So, Donovan, ever since we met each other, we've had tons of fun, and I love connecting with you. We do this thing called the Fan Roundtable, and I love doing that thing with you. But it's switcheroo right now, and this is really cool because I've been excited to do this since you asked me. Uh, you know, I've loved wrestling for a long time since I was like 8 years old. And I'm a bit older than you. I don't know if you can tell or not. I got a little silver going, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I started kind of really getting into wrestling at 8 years old, and I've said it on the Stirring the Pots that my very first show my dad brought me to, it was a WWE or WWF. I'm sorry, WWF. And I was 8 years old, and the two matches that really stick out, because obviously there's multiple matches, but there's two that stick out. Now, the main event, I'm going to go right to that. That was Bob Backlund. He was the champion of WWF at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was defending it against Cowboy Bob Orton, which we all know is Randy Orton's dad. And I am telling you, that match really sticks out in my mind because I love that classic stuff, That's my go-to. Love storylines, character, and classic mat wrestling. But then another match that really sticks out, my man, is Tito Santana and Ivan Putski. They were tag team champions at the time, and they went against the Wild Samoans, Afa and Sika, along with their main man, Captain Lou Albano, with the beard and the rubber band and everything. Do you know of everybody I speak of?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Wow. Such a young wrestling fan, and you know all of those older guys like that, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
now. Let me get your opinion on something. You said the first main event of the first show that you went to was Bob Backlund versus Cowboy Bob Orton. Like you said, that's Randy Orton's father. Do you think that wrestlers from the past, such as Mr. Perfect, Bob Orton, Dusty Rhodes, do you think everyone that has a kid kind of has it easy when they go, if they continue their journey as a professional wrestler when they get older?
Well, that's an excellent question, my man, because look at right now. Charlotte Flair has been trying so hard. Do you see how hard she's working to become Charlotte Flair and not Ric Flair's daughter?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what we're talking about. I think it's actually harder for that next generation to come up because you're Bob Orton's son. You've been in the game your entire life since you're in a diaper, probably going to the shows. We don't know behind the scenes, but probably, right? So when you're coming up in that kind of environment, and now you're trying to be a peer, you're trying to be a peer in their game that you've grown up in. I feel, as a fan, that it's probably much harder because, again, I'm going to revert back to Charlotte. She has been working her patootie off to get rid of that Ric Flair thing. You remember they even did that real thing in the ring where they were talking really mean to each other. Ric Flair cried and everything. You remember that?
Yeah.
Dude, talk about it being personal. But they tried to split Ric Flair away from Charlotte at that point, right? That's what they were giving us, the fans, was now we're going to let Charlotte Flair try to rise on her own. And, I mean, not that she didn't rise very quickly, but she's Ric Flair's daughter, and that's what everybody kept saying, Mm-hmm. So I feel, again, I hate to reiterate it, but I really strongly feel that it's much harder for the next generation to come up because they have that much more to prove. And they have to represent, to a certain degree, who their parent is in the business because we all know him.
It's kind of like a giant shadow over them.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, speaking of fan roundtable, what made you want to start doing those?
Oh my goodness, Donovan. Now, when we're at shows, we hang out, we hoot and holler. You hear it. We have some fun. We do nothing but laugh and have good times when we're at wrestling. Am I wrong on saying that? I mean, we have some good times, my friend.
Mm-hmm, we sure do.
So now we've got this whole COVID. Do you see what never mind. Well, since I started doing the Skype interviews, I figured, why am I not connecting with my friends that I've made along the way when we go to shows? Because I'm missing them just as much as I'm missing wrestling. So I did some reaching out to a couple peeps, and I said, hey, would you be interested if I started doing this thing besides the regular interviews? And they're like, dude, fire it up. So I kept reaching out to more friends, and we've got not just once a week now, because we do it on Saturday afternoons, usually a little bit like around 2 or 4. And we get like 5, 6, 7, 8 of us. It's a little kooky because there's so many people in Skype. And you know how Skype works. You don't get to see everybody, but when the dominant microphone kicks in, once the finished product is done, you get to see who's talking. And I mean, Donovan, just as much fun without even being at wrestling is hanging out with you guys and doing our thing. And now that you're on that topic, I want to bring up a question to you. How about that accidental butt dial or whatever the hell happened with Kulik the other night, Tuesday night? Mm-hmm. Wow, what a blast that was, wasn't it, my friend?
Yeah, one call, it changed it all.
and I made sure that I named the episode that. Now, what happened was I was in an interview with Casey Navarro. Love me some Casey Navarro. If you boys and girls that are watching this don't know who Casey Navarro is, get out there, type it up. It's capital K, capital C, Navarro, Navarro. Love me some KC. Anywho, I'm in the middle of an interview, and I see this thing pop up, and it says join. But it was Kulik, and it said, like, fan roundtable or something. I'm like, what the hell am I reading right now? And I go, that dude's probably drinking or something. Like, what's going on, you know? So then something else came up, and I'm like, I can't answer that. I'm doing me some Casey Navarro. So I end that, and then I see that it was still active. So I go, what the hell? I'll hit the join button, and all you guys were hanging out, having fun, just like we would at a round table. So Kulik is like, Kincaid, let's start a round table. What the hell? Let's do it right now. And we did, man. We got off of the Facebook Messenger. We switched over to Skype. We hit the record button, and holy crap, what a bunch of fun we had. Not only that, though, camera lady jumped in on the action, sipping a couple Coronas. That was amazing. Cinco de Mayo, might I add. And not only that, we had Big Juicy's better half, Cody Lee, come in. And, man, you guys had some fun. And not only did you both take your shirts off, Big Juicy chopped Cody by request, and then you told camera lady to chop you. Holy sugar, that was so much fun, man.
It really was. That was a great time, and I was the one that persuaded you to do a round table.
Yes, because you know what, man? Again, I have to repeat it because we show so much love and so much, like, now we have friendships outside of the ring. And you know what, man? Wrestling is so unique, and I talk about it all the time. One of the most unique things in the entire universe is wrestling as an entity, with everything that it takes to make wrestling. Us fans, dude, getting these relationships out of the ring, I would never change it in a million, trillion, quadrillion years. I love meeting everybody like this. It's so much fun.
Now, what made you start doing the Skype calls?
Well, you know, the whole Kincaid. I gotta crack up every time I say it. I'm sorry. The whole Kincaid thing, the whole thing, you know, it kind of put a damper on all of it. So it was like, okay, I was doing sit down interviews. I was only probably, I'm gonna say 22, 23 episodes deep to this point. Every so often, I would reach out and schedule an interview outside of wrestling, and I would do a one-on-one interview, which is really cool because I've gone to so many cool, like their homes. They've invited me and trusted. Donovan, you doing interviews, you don't understand how entrusting that is in the world of wrestling, because not everybody gets that privilege and honor, and it really is. It's almost like having a license. When you grow up and get a license, my man,
Mhm.
it's the same thing in wrestling. Being able to speak and get into their world a little bit deeper, more than anybody else could, that's something that really, and I know we try to not cross a line of a fan to wrestler, but they're allowing us to cross that line a little bit and trust us. So with all of the interviews, man, they really entrust us with what we're asking them, what we put out as a finished product. So you, my friend, at your age, I am so stoked to see you doing this, because they're letting you do it, and I'm so happy for that you get to do that. But the interviews, I was about 23 interviews deep, and I kind of had an accident a ways back in November. I did an interview, and on the way back of a very, very long weekend, I kind of crashed my car, and I fell asleep at the wheel on I-91 coming back home from said interview. But again, it was a 3 day, like I pushed myself so hard, Donovan. That's another thing. Another thing I would like to put out to you. You really, if you start picking it up and you're working very hard, just be wary. Don't burn yourself out, my man, because it could take a toll on you real quick. Okay?
Yeah, you like did like 100 interviews in a week. That's
Dude,
crazy.
115 interviews in a 5 week course, meaning that's about, let's see, let's add it up. We'll talk three a night after work. So that's 5 days a week, 15 interviews. Okay. Then I would do anywhere between 4 and 6 interviews each on Saturday and Sunday. So we're talking a minimum of 10. So that's 25 interviews a week that I was kind of doing on an average, if you will. But back in November, I was driving to all of these places. I would drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to just go do an interview. Again, because getting in the wrestler's world, I think is very fascinating and again, entrusting. So I'm willing to take the drive if they're inviting me to their home. Um, and not everybody wants Kincaid at their house. So I would have to meet them at parks and stuff. So you have to take the good with the bad. But you
Yeah.
know what? The end product is always well worth it when you get to talk and sit with these men and women.
Mhm.
So I ended up crashing my car. And then we got back into wrestling. I got back into another vehicle. And then, this whole shutdown thing with the quarantine happened. So I'm like, how the hell do I connect with everybody that I miss so much? And not only that, I would have a further reach if I just invested a little bit of time and reaching out to as many people that I knew personally, like Tessa Strength, PAPW, some of the connections I've made in Rhode Island, the connections I've made in Massachusetts and such, New Jersey, if you will. So I started reaching out, like I was working hard at it. I mean, I was using only Facebook Messenger because that's kind of my main social media thing, if you will.
Yeah.
And I just pumped out as much time as I could after work, during work. Shh, don't tell my boss. Woo, I did most of my scheduling during work. Holy cow, I swear I did. But I was just so amped up to really start connecting with people again.
Mhm.
So that kind of brought, hey, do you want to do an interview? Do you want to do an interview? But I would be very cordial, very respectful when I put it out.
Yep.
What I did was in a notepad, so I didn't sound all ridiculous, is I did like a template, okay? And then I would copy that and then change the little things I would want, okay? But it was a generalization, and it's still giving them the respect and just giving them that same general question of, would you be interested in doing this interview thing I got? It's called Stirring the Pot. Give them a quick description. We pull back the curtain, talk character and yourself, try to get to know you a little bit more. Just friends hanging out. That's how I would describe it. Because that's pretty much what it is.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Mostly, if you sorry,
no, no,
um,
no.
if you like just say, hey, I want to interview you, it's kind of like it doesn't. It kind of like tells them like why would I want to waste my time with them? And they don't even act respectful when you're, but when you put it in a way of, would you be interested, or would you be able to make a time to
Exactly.
sit down or anything? It shows
My
care.
Yeah, absolutely shows character, my man. I love you for that because, especially if I have to travel far away, I want to make sure, I know you guys and girls travel a lot and I know your schedule is very busy. Would you have the time? When I was doing it off the Skype, that's how I would approach it because they are so busy. You and I know how busy these guys and girls are. So to sit down for an interview, like on an off day, being a weekday or even sometime where they weren't wrestling, which is very rare,
Hmm.
um, I felt that it was like, wow, they're giving me that kind of time. I'm going to make the best of it and I'm going to be as respectful as I can. And I love that approach of you, my man, because that talks character right there. You said it right there, my friend. I love that.
Now, is there any specific interview that you really like doing? It could be Skype, and I know you did like a sit down interview, you had like your own background, kind of like a news area. If you had to choose one interview from each area, which ones would those be?
Well, two really stand out from the sit downs, and I know I've talked to so many. Uh, Now, again, I want to kind of put it in perspective. When I was doing the sit downs, I was at 23 episodes. Right now, last night after or Tuesday night after our thing, I'm up to 135 episodes, my man. Holy crapoli. So we've done a lot of work in about 6 weeks of time, um, that really stand out from sit downs. One, and you were gonna, because I have a question from this said person. I am so glad you asked me this question. The very first one that sticks out is my man Youssef, because stirring the pot would have never ever come to fruition, if you will, come together if it wasn't for Youssef 13. I visited him one day on a side. I was on a weekend. We became friends outside of the ring. We were hanging out and talking, and he told me about his story a little bit. And I looked at him and I go, you know what, man? That is such a fascinating story. And I mean, I only took about a year, maybe 2 years worth of journalism in high school. And I actually still connected with my journalism teacher. She's been my favorite teacher after all of these years, my friend. I'm still connected with a teacher out of high school. Holy crap. But it really interested me on hearing that. But I wanted to tell it to the fans. I wanted to hear it. I was kind of being selfish, but I wanted to take that selfishness and give it to the fans because we all want to know a little bit more outside of the ring stuff. We watch that stuff on WWE. Why wouldn't we want to know about it from our local men and women? So I figured there isn't too many of us around that do it for the immediate local men and women that are coming up on the rise, that have either A, just started, B, have been in it for a year or two. We didn't know who they were, and they're starting to pick up a little steam. C, the ones that have been in it for 5, maybe plus years, that have got a name now, but have gone through gimmick changes, if you will, because it takes a lot of time to kind of find what you want to do. And then, even if I can get some veterans, I get, which gets to be shared with all of us, the best of all of those worlds. Experience, knowledge, stories, because I like to talk. I like to ask them a cool road story if they would like to share with us, and we have some fun, getting in the just a little bit more personal with them on the road and telling us some fun stuff. So, and I know this is a very long-winded question because I can ramble. We know that. So, getting back to your question, Yusef 13 is a standout because without him, this would have never come to fruition. Second, Chris Cannon.
Oh my God, I was not expecting.
Now, with everybody I've spoken to, right? Chris Cannon comes out of left field, right? Now, check this out. I didn't know him very well at all, but I knew a lot of the guys and girls over at Landry's Combine in Holyoke, Mass, where we have the Shut Up and Wrestles, but that's where they train. Okay. So I was going there before Shut Up and Wrestles ever started. All right. Now, Chris Cannon comes out of nowhere. Big giant guy. I've seen him in the ring, and Donovan, I would shit myself just watching him hurt people in the ring. Not for not really hurt people, but like, you know what I'm saying. And it was like, wow, this guy, in my eyes, was the next Josh Briggs, and he's going to be so pissed that I said that because he says he's so better than Josh Briggs. Woo, I hope he doesn't kill me.
I'm going to text him that later and be like, you're the next Josh Briggs.
Watch yourself. He's a very scary man. Watch yourself.
Can I do it now?
But no. So didn't know Chris Cannon, but I loved his presence as a character, as a wrestler. What he brought to the ring, a lot of power, a lot of nasty, a lot of grit, and he's an service. He's out of the service, so he's an ex-service guy. So I was totally drawn to his character, and I thought he was going to be the next Josh Briggs, and he hates that so much that we started talking just a little bit for me to get in that door, and I got an interview with him. But he would not, because he's never not in gimmick. What you see is what you get, my friend. So tread lightly with Chris Cannon, for real. There is no gimmick. Some of these guys say, there is no gimmick, and I am telling you 1,000%, Chris Cannon, zero gimmick. He is a mean, nasty, gritty dude that wants to just hurt people and get paid. So with that said, I had to write down a question. He reached out to me. Once I put that I was sitting down, I was being interviewed by the future. My man Donovan, he actually not messaged me, because he demanded that he has my phone number. So he has my personal cell phone, which is very scary. Let me read this out aloud, because he wants me, because he's going to watch this. He told me he's going to watch to find out if I ask you this.
All right.
Oh, okay. Wait. Before I get into this. Now, the reason why Chris Cannon sticks out is because if you look back, it's episode 13. I'll never forget that number. It's episode 13. And he scared the living shit out of me. You know how I am. I'm a little goofy. I'm off the wall, and I like to have fun. Not Cannon. Mr. Cannon. He's full serious all the time. So the contrast, I thought, was one of my most favorite interviews. It's only about 30 minutes long. I'm surprised it lasted that long and he could stomach me for that long. He did walk off like 3 times, though. Check that. If you haven't watched it, it's a fun watch. Check it out. So back to the question. And if I kind of do an impression of him, but I'm not doing it here because he's going to be watching. He'll definitely kill me. All right, to the future from Chris Cannon. What exactly are you the future of? Because from my view, the future isn't very promising if he's what we are looking forward to. End message.
What is the future exactly? I'm kind of like the next interviewer in line. I'm going to be in this business somehow. Even if I don't achieve my dream of being a professional wrestler, there's something in this business for everyone. And Mr. Cannon, I think that you're in this business for a reason. Like Mr. Kincaid said, you like to beat people up and get paid for it. So you're in this business for that. I'm in this business because I want to learn about people. Just not inside the ring, but outside the ring. What are their dreams? What are their goals? What are their what's the name? I forgot. It's like what motivates them.
Yes, their aspirations, if you will.
And Mr. Cannon, when you do watch this, I want an interview with you.
Wow. You're a brave soul. Are you kidding me?
I'm not scared of no little boy. What he is.
Whoa. Wow. I said tread lightly, my friend. You got to be careful. Just saying. So let's get away from Cannon because that could get very dangerous. So those those two specifically stand out. Now, when I started doing the Skypes, Mr. Mark Adam Haggerty, because you opened and called me Mark Adam Haggerty, he's probably, I don't know, a few episodes deep of my Skype episodes, and that man really stands out for many reasons. And now, have you interviewed him yet, or are you gonna?
Tomorrow at 3.
Ooh, man, are you gonna have some fun? He may take the reins a little bit. Run with it, my man. Run with it.
Yeah, I asked him for his Skype earlier, and he never got back to me. So I'll probably ask him again. But he seems really nice in his text messages. So
Mark, he's kind of hot and cold. You gotta watch him too. Keep an eye on that guy. He's a little hot and cold. Professional though, very, very professional. Love Mark Adam Haggerty to pieces. He sticks out again for 1,000 reasons that I could go on and on about. But then Christina Marie, courageous Christina Marie, really sticks out because it was a thing that night. I drank moonshine with Ronnie Ribs, SOG, okay?
Huh?
And then I was pretty primed up, if you will, because I'm not a drinker at all, but I had some Christmas moonshine that was given to me from a fan at Battlefront Pro Wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I had half a jar left, so I was sipping it with Ronnie Ribs, and we were having a blast. But the next guy after him was Ref Bill. Screw you, Ref Bill. I drank a bunch more, and I was hammered, Donovan. Holy cow, I was hammered, and we had a lot of fun. But then the next evening, if I'm not mistaken, I was interviewing Miss Christina Marie, and I still had a little bit left in the jar. And she happened to be sipping on some Red Bull and vodka or gin, or I forget what she was sipping, or Jaeger and something. And I go, wait a minute. Really? That's what you're sipping? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I haven't drank in I don't know how long. And I go, no kidding. So I told her about the story about me drinking the moonshine. And I go, I got the rest of it up there. Maybe we should hang out. And I went over. She's like, yeah, go get it. So I hung out. And I drank moonshine, the rest of my moonshine with Christina Marie. We had an unbelievable blast. But that's not saying you should go get moonshine and drink with your guests. I'm not saying that at all. Camera lady and Pop, I'm not saying that. No. I'm just saying that's what sticks out for me. So much fun, Donovan. And there's so many more that I could talk about. And I'm slighting everybody else because you start thinking about who you've sat down with and how many cool conversations and all of the fun things that you guys have talked about. And it's not always about wrestling. I mean, most of it I try to pertain to wrestling, but it comes down to some real life stuff. And I've actually had a person break down on my show. Yeah. So I mean, it really gets a little feels, if you will, Donovan, because you never know where it's gonna go. It could get so real life because up here we talk about up here a lot. You could be, you could look like Chris Cannon. You could move like Chris Cannon. But if you don't have a mindset that's all, together and it's a little sloppy, all of this doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, sometimes stuff breaks down a little bit. Those are the things you have to be prepared for when you're interviewing people because it's not always as fun as you would like it to be. The fun in games and, and the professionalism at the same time. You can have fun and be professional at the same exact time. There's nothing wrong with doing both. But again, once you get into that real life stuff and it starts rolling a little bit, you just got to roll with it. And sometimes you see where it goes, Who
would you say is kind of like, this is a two-parter, was the easiest to book for an interview and the hardest to convince them?
As far as easy, because of the few years that I've been going to shows here and there in a few different states, once I started hitting up, again, most of the people that I was aware, was kind of closer to, it was so many, no problem. Anything for Kincaid, whatever, what time, and we would try to schedule it up. That was the hardest. Scheduling everything out was insanity. But a lot of it came very, very easy. I'm gonna use one of my latest, Casey Navarro, was one of the hardest to get a hold of because he has gotten to a point to where he's been in the game for a good few years now, around 5 if I'm not mistaken, if not a little bit more, around that mark, I think 6ish. And he came up as very young, 6 years exactly. I'm sorry, sir, 6 years actually, a couple days before I interviewed him, and he's been coming up and found his character. Once you really find that character that we grasp onto, you know what happens. It just starts skyrocketing. You start getting more calls. You start want to be wanted more on shows. You're in more demand. You get paid a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So getting Casey Navarro was a little rough. It took, and I am not exaggerating, almost that whole 6 weeks of time. It took a while to kind of really get it scheduled out. I was kind of reached out to Jose Perez. He's the guy, the go-to guy that runs all the show up at XWA Center in Rhode Island. And if you don't know who XWA is, Donovan, do yourself a favor and check him out because I think you would really enjoy it. Awesome. Jose Perez up there, really, really good guy. Sat down with me on the Stir in the Pot. He goes, don't give up though, man. Sometimes these guys, they just are so hard to convince, first off, that you haven't, and that's a person that I've only met one time, okay? Casey Navarro. So yeah, maybe we could have had a good connection. Does he remember that? I highly doubt it. But then I interviewed him, and holy crap, he remembered our first time, the only time that we ever connected. And he said, you treated me with respect. You came up to me. You introduced yourself. And that's where we go back to character, sir. So that's where it kind of comes full circle because you never know what you're going to do down the road once you meet somebody at a show. You could have a bad experience. Don't let that be, don't brush that person away. Keep them in your files, if you will. Never lose people. Always keep those bridges nice, because bad bridges, burnt bridges, as they say, especially in wrestling, are much, much harder to kind of build them back than it is to kind of just put them away, So I'm sorry, Casey Navarro, very hard because he's up and coming and he's catching on now.
An example for me, it would definitely probably be like, you know who Retro AG is? Anthony Green?
Talk about in demand. Yes, I do, sir.
Yeah, I tried to book him for an interview last May, and it was just like I had to contact the manager for him, and it wasn't worth it. It's just when I get older, I'll probably I'm evolving into more of a professional person. Like I don't just go to the shows anymore and just like, oh, what got you into wrestling? Blah blah blah. And then I'll ask, what kind of underwear do you wear? I try to keep it 100% professional. But yeah, with him it was tough. But I moved on.
Hey, sometimes no isn't always a no, but sometimes no is a no, and you got to kind of feel those out. You can only push so hard.
Yeah, and it's also like, where have they been in like the wrestling business? Like, if it's someone from WWE, like as an example, John Cena follows me on Twitter now. I'm not expecting a response from him. In my dreams, yes, but it's probably not gonna happen. It's my DM is out there, but realistically, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Rather than someone like Big Juicy, she'll do anything because she's a rookie. She's really nice. She's got a great character going, and yeah.
Now, reaching out to a guy like John Cena, you're all excited. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to actually send him a message to see if I can interview John Cena, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, sir, you never know, ever. You never know if you don't ask. I've asked Gangrel. I've asked Sandman. I've asked a bunch of names that I've seen, that kind of get sprinkled into some of the shows. And, it may be a little nerve-wracking. and they may say no. But if you don't go up to them, my friend,
Yeah.
you'll never know.
And also, it's character right there. Like, if
Mhm.
you don't introduce yourself in person and then you send a message, I mean,
Mhm.
right now you have to send a message because there's no shows. But
Right.
if the amount of show and then you text them later on, they're not gonna know who you are. They're just gonna be like, oh, I saw you at the show, but that was about it. So.
Mhm. Yep.
Which-
Building. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish your response. And then I
building relationships, like we were saying, at these shows. Now, what Donovan does it very cool. It's a little bit different than most. I'm a scatterbrain, so I do it whenever, however, wherever.
Mhm.
Donovan, little more refined, doing it a little more professional, but still having fun. We'll do it post-event, kind of get him to the side and do his thing. And I love that Mom helps you. That just it warms my heart so much, Donovan. You don't even know. Having the camera lady with you, seeing that is amazing. But the way you do it, again, a little bit different than others. Some of the questions, you're keeping it different. You're keeping it fresh. You don't want it to be the same old, same old. And the same thing with me. That's why I do it the way I do it. I don't want to write anything down. I should probably 80% of the time because I forget so much stuff. But I never write anything down. I kind of go off the cuff, and I like raw. Like interaction. So why not try to get the raw response?
Which, like you said, the relationships. Who do you think are two of your best relationships, like that you have, like as wrestling friends?
Fans or wrestlers?
Wrestlers. If you want, I can tell you mine first, like to give you an example.
Okay, go for it.
Logan Black is definitely number one because he's just such a nice guy in and out of the ring. He's helped me do my math homework before, and he's tutored me. He's called me through on Messenger and has walked me through it, helped me figure out stuff. He's such a nice guy, and he always, when I reach out for an interview, he never says no. I mean, we've only done it 3 times now, and someone that you should interview, Chi. What? He's a great guy. He brought me out of my comfort zone. He made me interview him in front of the crowd during intermission at Western Mass Wrestling. Yes. And that was really nerve-wracking because I was like, oh, everyone's watching, but it brought me out of my comfort zone a little more.
All right. The face is from a few things. You did say Chi, right?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I heard that right. Me and Mr. Chi have a shaky history, if you will. I will give you something, though. Getting out of the comfort zone is obviously one of the hardest things to do. So let's go back to the scene. Chi wants you to interview you. He wanted you to interview him. Is that how that happened?
Well, I reached out as always for an interview, and then he came and grabbed me during intermission. Was like, "Let's do it right in front of everybody."
Oh, okay. I got you. So you're used to doing it post when no fans are there. You're it's nice and chill, and you don't have to worry about who's gonna hear what or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why I do that whole Kincaid center ring, blah, 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 and I get in your face. Dude, it just totally takes the edge off of me, and I'm like, now I'm good, But Mr. Chi, I got to get back to Mr. Chi. You know what? You're actually right on saying he would be a fantastic interview for many, many aspects. Veteran, obviously. Very knowledgeable. He's got this whole campaign, Justice for Chi, still going on or something like that. Yep. That's never going to stop. But yeah, I would definitely like to because he's a character all the way around. And to hear that he got you out of your comfort zone, that actually makes me feel good that, because he is a nasty guy, if you will. To see that somebody on the villain side kind of pulled you out of the comfort zone, that's really cool.
So, who are your two best relationships? Never
Damn.
got the answer.
I thought you were going to forget. There's too many, Donovan. Holy cow. Well, I will say, and this is a secret. If anyone has always been so amazingly like open with their time, whatever you need, anything, blah, 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 is Ryan Frost.
Ryan Frost?
Yeah.
He's going to be at the DK Wasteland this Saturday.
He is.
How is that still going on? The weather is just terrible for Saturday.
It's the Wasteland. It's a hardcore match. And 3 words. Dirt Bag Dan.
What does wrestling do for you?
Wow. That's an amazing question.
From an amazing person.
I know. We have found that out real quick, my friend, and only a short time. I've called you a gem. I don't know how many times. I can't stop. I can't stop saying it. All right, we have an age difference between us, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Now, I like to go. When I first started getting into it, I have a bunch of. Check this out. Now, there's probably like unfolded laundry on it, but I don't care. But if you notice over there, I've got a bunch of music equipment, all right?
Mm-hmm.
I even have over there in the corner, is a bass that I bought from Dave Cole. Do you know who Dave Cole is?
Unfamiliar with Dave Cole.
He's a veteran of the game, has recently gone retired, if you will come out for very, very rare and special occasions, if at all nowadays. But he's an artist. He does a lot of cool artistry. He hand paints canvases for like MLW, if I'm not mistaken, New Japan Wrestling, Beyond. So he's makes custom Funko Pops, all sorts of stuff. The dude is amazing. Look him up. He's a really fantastic guy. But to get back to that, I was in music for most like sugar, maybe 3/4 of my life. Guitar player, would sing, here and there because, some songs I could sing was a little. Go ahead.
Did you say hair in here? Because I know you had hair back then, and now it's just gone. We gotta have fun on the show. It is what it is, man.
You're making me cry. It was. I do.
I'm so sorry.
Because look at Donovan.
No.
I mean, come on.
You're not as bad as Kulik, though.
Oh God, that's a silver lining, isn't it? It actually was a hair band. We were doing the '80s rock stuff. Whitesnake, Motley Crue, Rat. Kingdom Come, we would do the one-off stuff, Kingdom Come and Bullet Boys and you name it, we were doing it. Bon Jovi, Cinderella, Skid Row. And I had tons and tons of fun, man. So much fun. But it got to the point where I was like, I'm not having as much fun as I should be having.
Mm-hmm.
So the band kind of went ways. I joined a couple more bands. At one time, I was in 4 bands. It was kind of wacky. That was a talk about juggling act. And one of them I was playing bass in. The others I was playing guitar in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this to the side. People are going to probably beat me up for it. Like, what the hell are you doing? And why are you doing that? And it's just something I need to put to the side for now. Now I'm like, that was my only hobby. What do I do? So I do like wrestling. So I just started poking around on Facebook and I was like, oh, PvP, South Hadley, an hour ride? Dude, I could do an hour ride, no problem. Mm-hmm. So I went up. It was $10 tickets for general admission, $15 for front row. And I got up there. I go, do you have any front seats left? And they're like, no. I go, good. I'll take a $10 one. And I went up there on a whim. That was like, let's see. I want to say that was maybe early 2016-ish, before the summer hit. And holy cow, Donovan, I haven't looked back, my friend.
Look at you now. You're just...
I know.
Interviews.
Dude.
And I'm just surprised that you're still standing at the end of the day. I could never do 5 interviews in a day, or like even 3, mostly because I have school during the day. But it's just, I could never. But you're, the fact that you can do that is just so awesome. And your contribution to the wrestling community is just so great.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that, Donovan. And I kind of didn't finish that's part of my answer, because I never really finished it because I ramble so much.
45 minutes.
Getting away from work, the bills, your regular everyday crap. I wanted something to go to, so that's why I picked wrestling, because I dig it. And man, you walk in that door and it's like, I'm at wrestling. All of that crap, it's so weird. It magically just disappears. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you got injured or something and you've got a broken leg and you've gone to wrestling. Yeah, it hurts while you're at wrestling, but man, it's almost like you almost forgotten about it while you're at wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's a total escape to get away from the bull crap, if you
will. Let's see, because I know you have a busy schedule ahead.
That's okay.
Wonderful. When King COVID is over, as that's what we call it.
My man.
When King COVID is over, are you still going to do Skype interviews? Are you still going to continue Roundtable, or is it just going to be one of them things that you did?
Well, the Skype interviews, I get a much farther reach, and I don't have to drive an hour or 2 hours and such. But without taking those drives, you don't get that real personal feel sitting at their home, or even sitting at a beautiful park on a beautiful day, hanging out with them. I mean, I did Scotty Anarchy and Just Incredible together in one interview at a park. I mean, holy crap. So stuff like that. If I only were to do the Skypes, I wouldn't have that personal feel and that personal touch to it, So I think I will still do both, no matter what, because it's not like my schedule is totally jam-packed after work, but because I've kind of ignored my family for about 5 weeks straight. I'm trying to have fun with nephew Jacob and trying to, do the stuff. So I will definitely continue doing both. If they want to sit down, I'm down for that. If they want to do a Skype, I'm down for that too. The fan roundtables, I hope they never stop ever, because once we come back, my man, we're going to have so much to talk about.
Definitely.
Now, it's like, when you leave a show, what we've talked about, you leave a show and you chit chat on the way home about what happened, or who you interviewed, or the big thing that happened, or a specific match. Those are the things that we're going to be able to do on the fan roundtable, my man. That's going to be amazing. I can't wait for that. So as far as the roundtable, never going to stop. As long as people want to come and hang out and have fun with us, I'm all about it. So I want to try to balance both, just not doing 3 a night after work every night and being ridiculous about it,
Is there a favorite member that you have in Fan Roundtable?
You know what? There absolutely is. There was, like, every time there's an episode, there's a favorite moment. So once the next one comes, there's another new favorite moment. Well, my new favorite moment is what we've already talked about, because now there was an episode where you went hog wild anytime I said your name and shirt in the same sentence.
Yep.
And my man would just let loose with the shirt, and we were having an absolute blast with it. But then He disappeared from the camera being Donovan and came back in his singlet and was giving us the old Hulk thing. And oh my God, talk about popping. That was my new favorite moment. But then the law was laid down. No more Donovan taking his shirt off. I can respect that for many reasons, okay? But woo, then after the law was laid down, we do an episode on the fly this past Tuesday, being only 2 days ago.
One call changed it all.
One call changed it all. The people that were there was absolutely perfect. Cody joining in and Mom joining in, and you taking your shirt off with the green light from Mom. That set that whole domino effect off where Cody took his shirt off, then told Juicy to chop him. She did. It wasn't enough, do an overhand, and wow, did that leave a mark. And then you told your mom to chop you, and then you were like, that's not hard enough to hit me. And then she laid one in on you. Oh my goodness, that whole part right there. And I think I actually clipped it and shared it in the fan roundtable group chat that we have.
No, it was me farting. That was the part that you.
Oh! Now that was another good one. Oh my God, that was amazing. But I don't think anywhere at any time on any forum. At any wrestling event, would we be able to have so much fun in 1 hour's worth time and get to see Big Juicy chop her boyfriend and get chopped, Donovan get chopped by camera lady? I will never, ever, never forget that, my friend. Never.
I think that's the best episode of Roundtable.
I did, dude.
But we do have to talk about one thing.
Yeah.
When Eric Hunting is on, you know when he's there. And it was just so weird without him. I mean, we have other guests like Brother Bob, the Prof, and Swag. You can't say Andrew because it's really bad. But you could definitely feel the absence when Eric was not there. And it was just so weird. Even Kulik talked about it last night on his interview. I spent an hour and 17 minutes on a Skype call with Kulik. The first 35 minutes was just absolute a long speech that he just kept going on and on.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, my man. That sounds it sounds a little woo. No, Kulik is amazing. Now, friend Eric, again, stirring the pot, very, 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 and I want to stress, very instrumental, along with Youssef. Eric Hunting, I would ask him, hey, man, what do you think about this? How should I do that? What do you think about that? What if I try to take a clip and do this with it for an intro? I'm thinking about trying to do these voice things. What do you think about that? He was basically my soundboard with Youssef for the most part. And Sister LC, Laura C, we love her to pieces. She was part of that soundboard system. And I am telling you, Eric Hunting was so instrumental on stirring the pot, and is still, because of the fan roundtable. Just like you said, it was just a little bit different than the other ones, wasn't it?
Now, a couple more questions.
Yeah.
You were kidnapped by chloroformed by Yosef. How someone your size not just run away really fast?
A couple things. I was chloroformed and knocked out twice. Not once, but twice. First time, I go to land. I go to this address that he sends me. Okay, it was a message that said, "Kincaid, meet me here X time. We need to talk. Emergency." So I went. I get there, and if you notice, when the whole thing starts, I'm doing a selfie. I'm talking to the fans, if you will. I don't know where Yusuf is. He told me to meet him here. Blah blah blah. I'm looking around. I look down at my camera, and it just swoops. So the first time, big surprise. Did not see it coming. Had no clue. He may be a big guy, but he's stealthy. Very stealthy, Yusuf is. Second time I got chloroformed, I woke up and was tied to a concrete pole with duct tape on my mouth. I don't know if you've seen that, my friend. Yeah, thanks for reminding me about a traumatic experience, by the way. So anywho, he comes over, rips the tape off of my mouth, and chloroforms me again. I had no way of running either occasion. I had no. Am I wiry? Oh my goodness, I'm built like a candle. I can run like the wind. I'm very aerodynamic, if you will. But first one, didn't see coming. Second one, I was already a victim of being kidnapped. So,
let's see. Were you also kidnapped? This is a two-parter. Were you also kidnapped by the warden? And why? What is the deal between Mrs. Warden? Because when you're talking to yourself. I didn't know if you lost sound for a second.
Mr. Donovan, you're talking about an extraordinary traumatic time in my life. That, Yusuf, that was one thing. The Mrs. Warden, you're bringing up a time very cloudy. Very, very cloudy. Okay, check this out.
Sorry if I brought up a traumatic event. I just wanted to know what the beef was when they were on Roundtable that one time.
Well, I was being a gentleman. Check this out. Battlefront Pro Wrestling Christmas Party. I was invited as a fan. We went and had fun. We had an amazing time. Got late. We had pizza. We had some laughs. I met Mrs. Warden while we were there. So we were all going outside. And we were going to go walk to our cars, and there was a bunch of us standing outside in the back. Now, I seen Mrs. Warden was standing in the parking lot, but Mr. Warden, he was, the warden, if you will, he was up like on a deck, and he was talking to some of the wrestlers, if you will. So I seen Mrs. Warden, and I went, Mrs. Warden, could I walk you to your car? And she goes, why, Mr. Kincaid, that would be excellent, or something to that, because, again, very cloudy. So she was in agreement. And I looked over and I go, oh, crap, Mr. Warden. And I go, Mr. Warden, could I escort your wife to the car, sir? Would that be okay? And everything went off the rails, Donovan. He got all flipping mad. There was a couple guys going to come run after me because they thought I was hitting on Mrs. Warden, which was not the case. I'm just trying to be a gentleman. And I tried to explain myself. After I did, the warden calmed down a little bit, told everybody else to calm down. I escorted Mrs. Warden to her car, but very dark. I just shared a video not that long ago. I think both videos are kind of times in together. I'm walking her to her car, and all of a sudden, because she got this look in her eye, Donovan, she was just looking at me because she's a little shorter than I am. She's looking up at me with this look, and I knew if I didn't have some type of footage that would not be proof, I would never be seen again, ever. So I pull out my phone, very dark. You can't see me, but you can hear me. You know that it's me talking. I'm telling you, you can definitely tell it's me talking. Next thing I know, I'm in a trunk. I wake up in a dark trunk while the car is moving. My hands are tied with rope. Come to find out, she hit me in the head with a shovel that was in the back trunk with rope. She had a shovel and a rope in her car already, okay? Now, I get knocked out. I wake up. So now I'm tied in her trunk. She ties knots like a girl. She can't tie a rope for crap. So I wiggled my way out of the rope. I have the shovel, said shovel I got hit with. The shovel is in the back in the trunk with me. So I take the shovel and I start hammering it at that little latch thingy, and it pops off. The trunk opens. We come to a red light or a stop sign. I don't care or what it was. And I get out there and I ran like the wind, my friend. Because, again, very aerodynamic. I can run really quick.
Are you sure the shovel did not belong to Kirby Wackerman? Like, you know how he does the milk jugs and the shovel?
I love Kirby Wackerman. Holy cow. No, she's definitely not using it for such things, or the warden. Very nefarious. That's the word I'm looking for. Very nefarious things with those two items in their trunk. Never will I ever, never again will I ask to escort her anywhere near that car. Never again.
So, speaking of the warden, more. Sorry, we want to know what is going on with this. Who was the other guy that joined Roundtable that one time? The guy that held up the parking lot.
Maxim Morozov. He is the Russian that presides at PAPW mostly, but he's worked his way at XWA. He's the Russian there, but he's not the Russian up there. He's got two things going on, and it's kind of wacky because up at XWA he uses his old gimmick, but at PAPW, did I say PWA? If I did, I'm mistaken. It's PAPW, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. He's a Russian there, and between him, the warden, Aladdin Ding, Abdul Haq, Yusef. I know I'm missing somebody. They've all been all up my bunghole trying to get me to pay this big bill that I've acquired over time because Morozov charges me $5 every time I boo him in person, and every time I boo him on Facebook, he charges me $5. So I've accumulated this gigantic backlog of bills that have just kept.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Why would you do that to yourself? Why?
I'm not cheering that. Oh, I almost used profanity at him. I don't want to do that. I'm not cheering for Morozov. I don't care what he charges. And when we come back, the warden has already told me, because I interviewed him, why I would do that, I don't know. He told me that because of the whole virus thing, when we come back, they're going to start charging me double, $10 a boo.
Oh my God, this has been great. You seem sad. Are you okay?
You brought up very bad memories, sir.
Is there anyone that's on? This is the final question. I don't want to keep you for any much longer because you seem sad.
Okay.
Is there anyone that's on your radar that you would like to interview soon?
I would love to interview Lio Rush.
And why is that?
Well, I believe him and the WWE don't have a relationship anymore.
Yep.
Now, when that happens, fair game. You can do interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So, I'm actually being invited into a podcast. I'm doing a spot on a podcast. We're going to be talking May 9th and stuff about what's going on in the DK Wasteland. I'm actually being invited on a Zoom right now as we speak. So, what were we just saying?
Is there anyone that you want?
Oh, yes, Lio Rush. So now that he's off of the WWE table, it's fair game, with no contract, unless it's a ROH, or stuff like that. So he did put something out. Interviews, podcasts, hit me up. Let's do something. So last night, I did that.
On what platform? Because I need to know.
I will send it to you. It's on his shoot page, if you will. So I'll send you the link.
All right. Wonderful. Don Kincaid, I really appreciate this. Was only supposed to be half an hour, turned into an hour, which is another thing. It's just you get so lost, and when I go to the shows, it's like 10 minutes because I don't want to go too long, and then all of a sudden, the Skype just brings another opportunity.
It does.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before I do my outro?
we could probably talk for another hour easily, because I love talking to Donovan, man. This is amazing. Uh, I will say one thing, and one thing only. You, my friend, have stepped up your game on doing this whole one-on-one thing. I really see the changes in you since when I first started seeing you go to these shows at the Eastfield Mall and stuff. Uh, Dude, you're turning into a fantastic interviewer, and I can't wait to see what the future brings. The future. You see what I did there? That was a good one, no? Yeah.
Yeah. Alright,
Oh, yeah.
well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and thank you, Mr. Kincaid.
Hey,